All right, so welcome to another deep dive with us.
hmm
Today we're going to be looking at sport, parents, and coaches.
Okay.
And I'm really excited about this one because, I've got kids
Right.
in sports, and I think we can all relate to this
Yeah.
one way or another, whether we're
Mm.
parents or coaches or,
Absolutely.
former athletes or whatever.
For sure.
So let's just jump right into it.
Yeah, let's do it.
So sport, parents, and coaches. The text.
Mhm.
It really focuses on this idea of, creating a positive and supportive environment, more so than like winning at all costs kind of thing.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's a really good starting point because it
Yeah.
it really sets the stage for everything else.
Exactly, right.
It's not all about the wins and losses.
Yeah, and I think that can be hard as a
Yeah.
parent.
Yeah.
I find myself, getting caught up in that
Oh, yeah.
sometimes, like,
Yeah.
oh man, we should have won that, or
Of course, it's
No.
easy to get
Yeah.
wrapped up in that.
so. Let's look at the coach's side of things first,
Okay.
because that's the first thing they really cover in this text.
Mm-hmm.
And they talk a lot about building a strong team and using, like, they even say we language.
Yeah.
What do they mean by that?
Well, I think what they mean by that is that you try to shift the focus from
Yeah.
individual performance and more on,
Yeah.
the team as a whole. Like,
Right.
so instead of saying, hey, you need to improve your passing, you could say, hey, we can work together to
Yeah.
make our passing sharper as a team
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah, it's not just singling out one person for,
exactly. It's a collective.
their failures or
Yeah.
even their successes. Like,
Right.
we as a team did this.
Yeah. I think it creates that sense of shared ownership and responsibility too.
Right. And like you were saying, it sets the tone
Hmm.
for
Mhm.
everything else,
Mhm.
and it makes it more fun for everybody.
Right.
And it's interesting because they go on to talk about communication.
Yeah.
They say, patience and conversational tone, rather than yelling at the kids.
Yeah. I think that's really important. I remember
Yeah.
as a kid when you're playing sports and you've got a coach just constantly yelling at you,
Yeah.
it's not exactly conducive to learning and growing.
No, you just get scared to do anything.
Exactly.
Yeah, you don't want to mess up because,
Yeah, you're afraid of making a mistake and then getting berated for it.
right. So
Yeah.
then they go on to talk about how, rather than focusing on mistakes, coaches should
Mhm.
focus on successes, even if they're small.
Yeah, they talk about positive reinforcement a lot,
Yeah. Yeah.
So if a kid does something good, even if it's not like a major athletic achievement, you point it out, you praise them.
Right.
Maybe they made a good pass or maybe they
Yeah.
showed good sportsmanship or something.
Right. Or even just, having a good attitude.
Yeah, exactly.
Or a well-timed joke.
Yeah.
Just the,
Yeah.
the
Just being
little things.
a good teammate.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they also talk about, effort over talent.
Mhm,
And,
mhm.
I'm kind of torn on this one because I do think
Yeah.
that natural talent plays a role. I mean,
Oh, absolutely. Some kids are just naturally gifted.
right.
But I think the point they're trying to make is that everyone, regardless of their talent level,
Right.
can improve and grow through hard work.
Yeah.
And they actually use this analogy of a garden.
Oh,
Some plants might sprout faster, but with proper care and attention.
yeah.
Even the slowest growing seedlings can flourish.
Right. They all need the
Right.
same amount of
Yeah,
nurturing.
exactly.
And they tie this into goal setting too,
hmm
like setting goals that are based on improvement rather than just winning.
Right. So instead of saying, we have to win every game,
Yeah.
it's more about, hey, let's try to increase the number of successful passes we make each game.
right.
Or let's work on our communication on the field, things like that. So it's more about the process
Yeah.
than the outcome.
Yeah. Celebrating those small victories. And then one thing that I thought was really interesting
Mm-hmm.
was that they really caution against comparing players.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important.
Oh, absolutely.
Because when you compare players, you're just creating like
Yeah.
this toxic environment of competition. And,
Right. And it can really damage a kid's self-esteem,
Yeah.
if they're constantly being compared to their teammates
Right.
and they feel like they're not good enough.
Exactly. And it takes the fun out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've seen it happen so many times where, a kid gets compared to another kid
Mm-hmm.
and then they just lose all motivation.
Yeah, they just give up.
Yeah. And they even talk about this idea that,
Mhm.
having high expectations for your players can actually be a good thing.
Yeah.
Like it can
really
become a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way.
Yeah, when coaches believe in their players and they communicate those high expectations, It inspires the players to rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
And then they start to believe in themselves and they work harder.
Right.
And they achieve more.
So it's not that you're setting the bar low,
Yo.
but it's that you're saying, I believe in you.
Right.
And so they start to believe in themselves.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
It's powerful stuff.
Okay, so let's switch gears a little bit and talk about the parents.
Okay.
Because the next part of the text
Mm-hmm.
really focuses on the parents' role.
Right.
And the first thing they say is, remember why kids play sports.
Yeah.
They play sports for fun.
Yeah, for enjoyment, for the camaraderie.
Right, for the friendships.
Yeah, exactly.
And sometimes as parents, we
forget that.
forget that. Yeah, we get so caught up in like the competition and the
the wins and losses,
Yeah.
all that.
right. And so they say, remember the why.
Yeah,
And that should guide everything else.
absolutely.
And then they talk about this distinction between being a parent and being a coach.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, like
It's a tough one.
how do you navigate that?
Well, I think what they're saying is that parents should be supporters,
Yeah.
not coaches.
Right.
So instead of, yelling instructions from the sidelines or
Yeah.
critiquing their kids' every move,
Right.
they should just focus on offering encouragement and, showing that they're interested.
Right. Just simple things like, did you have fun?
Or,
Exactly. What did you learn?
yeah,
That's it.
yeah,
Don't overstep.
don't try to be the coach,
Right. And then another interesting point they make is that it should be the child's decision whether they want to pursue sports seriously or just for fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really hard.
It is, especially if you see potential in your child.
Yes, especially as a parent.
Yeah.
You see that potential and you're like, oh, I could see them going pro.
Right.
Yeah.
But you have to remember that it's their life. It's their choice,
Yeah.
and talent doesn't obligate them
Right.
to a specific path.
Right. And forcing them to do something they don't want to do
Yeah.
is only going to make them resent it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then, and then they go on to say, avoid pressure and criticism.
Yeah.
Like, don't be that parent that's yelling from the sidelines or,
Right.
criticizing your kid after the game.
Yeah, nobody wants to be that parent.
No.
Yeah,
But it's so easy to fall into that trap,
it is.
Especially
Especially when you're caught up in the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you just want them to do well,
Right.
but you have to remember that, it's just a game. And, and they actually talk about a study in here that found that, kids whose parents were overly critical
Oh, wow.
of their athletic performance were more likely to experience burnout
Yeah.
and drop out of sports altogether.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
It's just too much pressure.
So it's creating that safe
Right.
and encouraging environment.
Yep.
And then they also talk about building team unity. And I think that's another really important one for parents.
Yeah.
Like, don't be that parent that's talking bad about other kids on the team.
Right.
You know, or
Be supportive of everyone.
Yeah.
It's all about creating that positive environment.
yeah. And I think that's something that we can all do
Absolutely.
as parents and coaches.
Mm.
And then they talk about supporting the coach
Yeah.
and, not undermining the coach in front of your kid.
Right.
And, if you have a disagreement,
Yeah.
talk to the coach directly.
Exactly.
Don't try to go through your child or,
Right. It just creates confusion and conflict.
Right.
Yeah.
And then finally, they talk about unconditional encouragement.
Yeah.
Win or lose,
Mm-hmm.
be there for your kid.
Support them.
Yeah.
Encourage them.
And celebrate the
Yes.
effort,
Yeah.
not just the outcome.
Yeah.
So it's really about, shifting your focus from winning at all costs to creating a positive and supportive environment.
Yeah. And what's interesting is that a lot of this advice applies beyond sports.
Right.
Think about it fostering a positive environment,
Yeah.
valuing effort, communicating effectively. These are all
Life skills.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's about how we interact with others in all areas of life.
It's about being a good human.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great takeaway from this deep dive.
Yeah.
It's not just about sports. It's about life.
It's about life.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you on the next one.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.